Hi everyone! If you've never been to a Speedcubing competition before, it can be quite daunting. So today we're going to show you what you can expect at your first competition in the UK. Now, although they're called competitions, everyone shares the same goals of trying to beat their own results, so don't worry whether or not you're fast enough. If you can make the time limits, you are fast enough to complete. Also, if you're a family member or a friend of a competitor, you'll be able to get involved as well. The UK Cube Association has a parent's guide to Speedcubing and an active parent community group on Facebook, both of which will be linked in the description and can help you with any questions you might have. Before the competition itself, it's important to have a read through the WCA regulations. There are a lot, but we'll cover the most important bits in this video, and a link will be in the description to the full regulations. Firstly, you'll need to bring your own cubes to compete with, and make sure you keep track of where all your belongings are. If it's your first competition, you'll also need to bring some form of identification, such as a passport or a birth certificate. Speedcubing competitions want to be as inclusive as possible, and there are no separate categories for age or gender, although if you may require any disability accommodations when competing, please let us know in advance of the competition and we will do our best to help. So, now that you have everything you need, let's get into the venue. The venue will be laid out in a certain way with distinct areas. Firstly, we have the competing area, which is these tables at the front of the room, with the waiting area and scrambling area just beside. Facing the competing area are a couple of rows of chairs for spectators, and behind those there are plenty of tables and chairs set up for when you aren't competing. Finally, there's the volunteer table, and this is where you go to check in when you arrive. If it's your first competition, you'll need to show a form of ID, and then you'll be directed to a website called competitiongroups.com. Search for the competition name, then your name, and you'll be able to see your ID number and the events at the competition. Each round where you have assignments will be sorted into time order with approximate times for when each group will start. The numbers next to the competitor labels are your groups. We can't have everyone solve at the same time, so we will call out 1 or 2 groups at a time to compete. Make sure to listen out for the announcements between each round so you know when to compete. You may also have numbers next to other labels called judge or runner, which are the groups that you've been assigned to help out for. We'll talk about that in a bit, but until then, you can find a table or some chairs to sit down, get warmed up and meet new people. The first thing on the schedule is the tutorial. We encourage everyone, family and friends as well as competitors, to attend this tutorial, so that you can see how the process works and learn how you can also help out. It will be fairly detailed, but for now we'll give you a quick overview. Once you hear the announcement for your group, you can submit your puzzle at the drop-off table. Find the scorecard with your name on it and submit your solved puzzle into the box. Once you've done that, you can head to the waiting area. Here, you can take a warm-up cube with you if you want, but make sure not to talk about the scrambles in the current round. Once your cube is ready, a runner will call out your name and take you to a judging station.
Jake Brown.
There will be a judge next to you who will ask if you're ready, and you can take up to a minute to prepare. Once you say, "I'm ready," the judge will lift the cover up and start a stopwatch to time your inspection. You have up to 15 seconds to look at the puzzle and plan your first few moves before you start solving, and the judge will let you know at 8 seconds and 12 seconds. Be careful not to go over the 15 seconds though. Your inspection stops as soon as you start the timer, but you need to make sure you do this in the correct way. These are the timers we use in competitions, and to start and stop them, you have to place your fingertips on these blue pads on either side, and make sure you are not touching the cube when you do this. Place your fingertips down and wait for the green light to appear on the timer. This takes about a second. When the light goes green, you can lift your hands off the timer and solve the cube. Then when you finish, stop the timer in the same way. Also, make sure not to touch your cube until after you've signed the scorecard. You'll have a chance to test these timers out on the day if you need to. Once you've finished your solve, the judge will check the puzzle is solved and write down the time shown on the timer. Then they'll sign the scorecard and give it to you to sign. Everyone signs with their ID number, and so this is what your scorecard might look like after your first solve. After this, you can go back to the waiting area while your cube is scrambled again. Then, once you've done all 5 solves, you can take your cube and go back to your table. However, sometimes things don't go to plan, and you may get a penalty, where 2 seconds is added to your solve time. This is known as a +2. There are a few things that might cause you to get a +2. Usually it's if you stop the timer and your cube is one outer layer turn away from being solved. The other penalty you might see is a DNF, which stands for did not finish. If you stop the timer and the cube is 2 or more outer layer turns away from being solved, this counts as a DNF. If at any point you aren't sure if you might have a penalty and don't know what to do, just put up your hand and a delegate will come over to help. The delegates are the people in charge of running the competition and making sure all the rules are followed. Look out for them wearing the red polo shirts. All of the results for the competition are uploaded onto WCA Live, which is where you can see your times and whether you made it to the next round. If you do make it to the next round, there's another website called competitiongroups.com, and this will show you what group you're in, as this may be different from round 1. Both of these websites can be found by scanning this QR code, which can be found at the volunteers table. Then, a couple of days after the comp, the results will be uploaded onto your own WCA profile. Everyone at the competition is a volunteer, including all the delegates and organisers, and the judges and runners will also be your fellow competitors helping out, as this is the only way to make sure the competition runs on time. Helping out is very easy to do, and crucially, you don't even need to be a competitor to do so. If you're a family member or friend, this is how you can get involved with the competition, and we will teach you exactly how to do it in the tutorial on the day, so once again, make sure you attend. If you're a competitor, you'll have helping out assignments on competitiongroups.com, which is what you'll be expected to do, but if you ever see that some more help might be needed, please jump in. The schedule will be quite tightly packed, and we'll do our best to stick to it as closely as possible, but we never know exactly how long each round will take to run. So please arrive at the venue with plenty of time before your rounds are due to start. However, when you're not competing or helping, you're welcome to leave the venue at any time. We have an hour break for lunch each day, and most venues are very close to a variety of supermarkets or outlets to get refreshments. You're also welcome to bring your own lunch, drinks and snacks. Once all of your solves are done, you're not required to stay, but we do always welcome any extra help with running and judging, especially in the later rounds of the day. If you're only competing on one day of the competition, then you don't need to attend both days, but you're welcome to come along if you want to spectate. Now for a few other quick points that you might not be aware of. When competing, you are not allowed to use smart cubes, and your cubes cannot have more than one logo on them. If you aren't sure if your cube would be allowed, maybe if it's slightly damaged, just find a delegate and ask them. You can't look up an algorithm or wear electronic headphones or earphones during a solve. However, ear defenders or noise cancelling earbuds are fine. If you want to film your solves using a phone, then the screen has to be facing away from you, and you must start recording before you start your inspection. As a spectator, you can also film solves from the spectators area, but please don't go any further forwards than the front row of chairs, and don't use any flash as it can be distracting. Finally, you can bring as many guests as you want, and there is no entry fee for spectating. However, if you're attending with anyone under the age of 18, please do not leave them unsupervised in the venue at any time. Finally, every UK competition is different, so make sure you check the WCA competition page and the pre-competition email to see if there's anything you need to know. We organise competitions in a variety of venues up and down the country, and some will look different from others, but we hope this introduction has answered most of your questions and given you a good idea of what you can expect coming to your first Speedcubing competition in the UK. You can check out the UKCA website and our mailing list, both of which are linked in the description, to keep up to date with news and see what competitions are coming. We're really excited to see you at some of our future competitions, so until then, happy Cubing.